We're back again. This is our third try. First time it was blurry. Last time we lost a connection.
Yeah.
And this time we're going to run through this entire thing about the Dear Keven Letter and the great information.
Yeah. So we'll start right from the top. We're reaching out to you from Acclaimed Heating, Cooling, and Furnace Cleaning in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm Tammy Lackey, and this is my lovely husband,
Kevin Lackey.
Yes, and so we have been the owners of Acclaimed Heating, Cooling, and Furnace Cleaning since 1995. It's a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, and we have a wonderful team that is here that supports our community of people that are dealing with questions and stuff and conundrums that they're facing. And so the topics for today will be our Dear Keven Letter, which we have launched a few weeks back.
What is that topic today?
The topic today is a question about indoor air quality. So that will be that's something that we need to have. We're also going to talk about some government rebates and some new news in Acclaimed, things that we're experiencing this week. So over the last few weeks, we've had a number of customers that have called us because they are selling their house. And as they sell their house, the home inspector comes in and does a once-over. And these poor homeowners have discovered that they do not have a beautiful green sticker on their furnace. And what does that beautiful green sticker mean?
Well, that beautiful green sticker in our world, being HVAC contractors, or that the city of Edmonton or other counties and other cities around Edmonton have basically gone in, their inspectors have looked at the installation, and they've put that nice green sticker on saying, hey, it's all great, it's all safe, and we're all good. So what's happened this week, and on average I'd say, Tam, it's probably happening once a week now. We're doing more and more and more of this thing. Maybe it's because houses are selling a little bit better these days. But people call in because there is a home inspector that comes in to inspect the home before sale. They'll say, oh, that's a great new furnace you got there, but it hasn't been inspected by the city. And predominantly what happens is that they call the city and no permit was ever pulled. And so these people have to get a permit pulled. To do that and get it inspected, they need to make sure that there are a whole bunch of other criteria done. So we've come in and we've done heat loss analysis. We take a look at all of the different things that are not meeting code and are not compliant, and we bring all of those up to code so that when the inspector does come in, it gets that coveted green sticker, and they're all set to go to sell the house. And we just did another one yesterday.
Yeah, and these poor homeowners, the stress and the panic that they are facing as they hear these words that their furnace does not have a sticker on it is impactful. These poor folks are suffering. But rest assured, by giving us a call, we can solve any issue.
Yeah, we can solve any issue. And it takes us getting into the house. We never know what we're looking at or what we're getting into. There are times, like the one we just did yesterday, it really wasn't very much there. The heat loss was missing, and there were a few, fairly small items that were missing. But there are times where, there have been so many different things that are missing because it has been done really badly. And we're there for like a whole day fixing things up. And so one of the things to learn here is to be aware that when you have a new furnace installed, you have to have that inspected by the city or the county. And you as the homeowner, you're responsible to call for that inspection. It's our responsibility as the contractor to pull the permit, take care of all the paperwork for the permit. But because somebody has to be home to let the inspector in, it's generally either the tenants or the owner of the property that does that.
Yeah, so rest assured that if you hear these horrific words from the inspector that comes out to do an analysis of your home as you're trying to sell it, rest assured that there are solutions for that. And hopefully you can contact the person that installed the furnace for you, because then it's their responsibility to come to terms with what the deficiencies are. But please understand that if that's not the case, there's always solutions. You can give us a call. We can discuss that with you. So don't panic.
Good.
Yeah,
don't panic. And you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of those furnaces that are installed like that, a lot of them were installed by a buddy who got a deal on a furnace and installed it on the side, or a company or a guy off Kijiji who doesn't have a proper license and can't pull a permit. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some folks go with the very lowest price they can possibly get. And a lot of times that results in somebody that's not really above board and isn't even licensed to operate in Edmonton sometimes. So yeah, it's great point, great thing to illustrate, because we're seeing for some reason a big uptake in the amount of calls we get to rectify those issues.
Yeah, but if you hear anybody that's dealing with that conundrum and that stress of having to sell a house and it doesn't pass code because it hasn't had it inspected, give us a call and we can find some solutions for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
And the other finding this week for us was that I booked in February through Energy Efficient Alberta to come in and give me what I thought was an energy efficient audit. But what actually I signed up for was someone to come in and do an analysis of some items that could be replaced by energy efficient products.
Right.
So, you know, a couple weeks ago we were talking about how we needed to take advantage of those rebates for those light bulbs.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we were on Friday going to go Saturday to get all these light bulbs.
Right.
And the deadline was the Saturday.
Which I did.
Yes.
I'm the man that actually did that because I don't do a lot of things sometimes like that.
Yeah, so he totally did. So yesterday, the gentleman came in and said that he called at the beginning of the week saying he was coming out to do this analysis and switch out some efficiency products. And in he walked in with a box full of light bulbs, which we had already replaced.
Yeah, so did a light bulb go off in your head?
Yeah, it was
I
like,
wonder what this is.
It was kind of like that was a bad idea. that was something we didn't need to do. But so this gentleman came in and he changed out some light bulbs that we had not changed out, which there were a few that were not changed out. But they only had these light bulbs, so they didn't have. If you had pot lights, they didn't have that. They did in the write-up on their website say that they would change out night lights, like any kind of lights that they had, although this gentleman did not have that. He also changed out or offered to change out some higher efficiency shower heads free of charge.
I don't a higher efficiency by that low flow, so they don't consume as much water that goes onto you.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Thanks for clarifying that. Now they exchange. So if you don't have a shower head, or you want to keep your existing shower head, but you want to get the low flow or they won't just leave that behind. So you have to trade for trade.
You know what that is? That's a really good exchange rate.
Yes.
It's like 1-to-1. You don't pay anything for the exchange.
No, you don't pay.
No.
Now, so of course, whether or not you want to keep your plush pressure shower head, you will not be able to keep that. So you switch it out.
Right. So basically, if you've got a really cruddy bad shower head, there's even more value in it because you get a nice new shower head.
Absolutely.
And, in our house, like all of ours are actually in pretty good shape, but we did have one that was like, yeah, that thing should be replaced. It's no good. And so we had one replaced. The rest of ours are low flow anyway.
Right.
But it's great.
Yeah. So they not only bring them, but they actually install them for you. So the gentleman was at our house for about an hour. They also have these, we'll change out some of the power bars. They have the elements on it that are always on and power saver. Now the always on ones have something on them so that they time out after 2 hours, which may or may not be a problem for you depending, but there's options. So that was a really neat experience. We're going to put that link on our website so that you can sign up for that registration. There are dozens of people in the field that are doing this assessment and come into homes, but I would imagine that will take a long time. I signed up in February. I don't know when they started to actually do them.
Right.
The gentleman that was at my house had started 3 weeks ago, so maybe that's kind of when they kind of rolled it out. But anyway, that was really cool.
You know what I'd like to add to that is
Sure.
that, we've done lots of segments and we even held a press conference here at our office about people going door to door and having all those scams, right?
Yep.
And so it's important to know that what we had done and what you had done at our house yesterday, it wasn't somebody that just came to the door and said, hey, I'm here to do this. Can I go and check that out? So you did have to sign up for it. It's something that Tammy initiated.
Yeah.
So if anybody does come to your door like that, with that kind of a line, if you didn't call for it, if you weren't the one that initiated that process and signed up on the web or with a phone call, that's a good sign. Like we've talked about many times, don't let that person in. Because if that's the case, they're likely posing as that type of service, and it's likely not. So be very careful with that.
Yeah, that is a good point because I had almost forgotten that I had signed up for that service, but that was back in February, so a few months back. That is a good point because originally when they were talking about exchanging for the efficiency light bulbs, they were going to be handing them out at malls or going door to door.
Right.
So now they
Right.
have it set up so that you can make appointments, which is brilliant. Because then people are home. It's very efficient with timing
Right.
and all that kind of great stuff.
Yeah.
This week we also heard that there was an Efficiency Alberta also launched that there are rebates for solar panels. And those
Okay.
are for residents also that are included in that. So go to the Efficiency Alberta website, all the information on there. Whether you like the idea or don't like the idea of what all these things are available, it's great that we can find a link for it and see if you want to look into that process of taking advantage of those rebates. They're available.
Yeah. No, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
So now we'll head to the Dear Keven letter.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's favorite.
Yes. Okay. So it's Dear Keven. We have bad allergies in our home and have a great air filter system. This works well in the winter when the furnace runs. However, when the windows are open to keep the house cool, the seasonal allergies are killing us. Can we run our furnace all year long to use the filter to help us? Signed, I think it's Pollen Dad, or what it was, Allergy Dad. I hear it says Mr. Allergies, but I think
Mr. Allergies,
yeah,
Allergies Dad.
Yeah, same dude.
I'm gonna guess he suffers from allergies.
Yeah, that's consistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds kind of weird that someone would want to run their furnace in the summer, because that seems kind of crazy.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because we have always used a term called summer fan. So that there's this thing on your furnace that's called a summer fan, and that runs your fan all the time. And they call it summer fan because theoretically somebody had decided that, hey, if you run this fan in the summer, it's going to cool the house down because it's going to take the air from the basement, it's going to push it upstairs, and it's going to cool the house down. Like, in reality, to cool the house down, it doesn't really do a whole lot. You'll have different effects, and a lot of times there's no effect. But more importantly, that summer fan, which by the way, I don't like to call it a summer fan because we recommend using that fan to run all the time on today's really high efficiency filters and furnaces, because today's high efficiency furnaces, the better ones, have an extremely efficient motor on it. So it turns air over into the house really, really quietly, really efficiently, and most of our clients that have those, furnaces installed, they run their fan all the time. So I just like the term continuous fan.
Okay.
So a thermostat and whatnot, so long as it's working with all the functions enabled, it will have controls for automatic for the fan to come on just when it needs to for heat and air conditioning. It'll have off, so it never comes on. So you're not going to have heat, you're not going to have AC. And then you have another one for continuous fan, so it runs all the time.
Okay.
And more, a lot of the thermostats we're installing now, we carry a line called April Air, and those are called event-based thermostats. So you can set it for running 10 minutes of every hour, or running for 4 hours, say between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. But that fan all does the same thing. It runs the air through the house. It takes the air from the house and it cycles through the filter.
Okay.
So for Allergy Dad here, he's actually 90% of the way there in terms of having some impact on his dust volume and whatnot in the house. But when you have a furnace filter, or an air cleaner, as I like to call them, a high efficiency air cleaner, which happens to be also your furnace filter, if your furnace fan is not running, you have this filter there that is doing nothing. So you have the ability to have that filter cleaning the air, but only if the fan is running. So getting that fan running, all of that air that's coming out of your air vents goes back to that filter, it gets cleaned, and then cleaner air goes upstairs. And so there's a lot of different ways of interpreting what a high efficiency air filter is, and there is quite a bit of misinformation out there in terms of what a high efficiency air filter is. And so it's very important to do your homework on that, really understand the rating of the filter, and the bigger the filter, the better. So the bigger the filter that you have to take out of there, generally speaking, the higher efficiency it is, and the longer it will last in there. And just like any consumer product, I say that a lot, just like any consumer product, our industry is no different. There are high efficiency filters that are small and sold so that you don't have to do a modification, and you can even get those at Costco for like $20. But those are very different from what I'd classify as real air cleaning filters that have to be installed there. A lot of people with new houses, they have those already. And it's just doing your homework. You can check our website, and you can check with us as well. We do a lot of those conversions. When we're installing new furnaces particularly, we're doing a lot of installations of the high efficiency filters. So running that fan all the time, great idea. If you have an older furnace though, what's going to happen is it's going to be pretty noisy because you can't turn it on really, really low, and it's also very inefficient. So when it's running all the time, it actually consumes a lot of electricity, where these new furnaces that have what's called a variable speed motor, they consume very, very low amounts of electricity, and they're almost silent as well. So you get a lot of benefits out of that, and that's not to say you can't do it with your old furnace. We have a lot of customers who've been doing that for years.
Okay.
Without any problem.
Now, the other question I have to touch on to Allergy Dad is, in our home, when we have all the windows open, for the windows that are open, you'll get that yellow pollen that'll be everywhere. Yeah. So I'm just thinking about those windows being open will be a problem in itself.
Yeah, it's really interesting because that's one of, we've actually had customers that only install air conditioning so they don't have to open their windows for those allergens coming in.
Okay.
That's actually why they have them done. So it's absolutely true. If you have your windows open and you have all those pollutants outside and all those allergens outside, those are going to come into your house. And they're coming in all the time. And so it's very difficult to contain that because your filter is going to take out all of the stuff that's airborne. But of course, you're going to get a lot of that stuff settling on furniture and all that kind of stuff. So by having an air conditioner, you now don't open your windows anymore.
Right.
Because that's going to be very bad for the efficiency as well. And then you're really controlling that environment, and you're getting all that exchange for maximum benefit. That's a great question.
Okay. So so hopefully Allergy Dad will get some information about that.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. That's great. So I think that's kind of all we have to say today. Is there anything else?
Well, you know what? I've got a question for you. You had those people into the house to do our light bulbs.
Yeah.
One thing I can say is that in our house there's a lot of pot lights, right?
Yes.
And so these little lights that we had available to us yesterday, that is all that was available to us. Now maybe that's not always the case, but in our house we actually had to install dozens of the pot light ones. But my bigger question to you is, did they confirm before they came with you that they were coming? I know that you signed up for that like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but did they confirm and say, hey, it's so-and-so from Energy Alberta?
No, actually, it's really funny because I signed up in February and then didn't hear from them at all. And then I heard from them about 2 weeks ago, and they said that they had an opening in our area, which sounded a little bit fishy the way that it was presented. Yeah. But they didn't say they were from Efficiency Alberta. They said they were from EcoFit.
EcoFit?
Yeah. And then when they called and I was at home when I got that call, and it made sense. They explained a little bit more. Then on Thursday they called, Wednesday, and said, this is Jared calling from EcoFit. I'm calling to confirm your appointment. And I was thinking EcoFit as in like workout equipment. Because I was thinking EcoFit. I don't really, and I said, no, I'm sorry, you definitely have the wrong phone number.
Okay, just first of all, don't bring any exercise equipment into the house.
Yeah, no, I won't. So he said, I said, you definitely do not have the right phone number. And he said, I said, what number are you trying to call? So he told me the number, and I said, well, that is my phone number. Who is it you're trying to ask? Who are you looking for? He said, Tammy Lackey. And I said, okay, that is me. I certainly did not order any exercise equipment. And to know,
thank goodness for that.
Yeah, to know me, to understand that is a fair statement. And then when they said no, I said, wait, EcoFit. As in, I said, why fit? And actually, he is on his logo on his shirt. It did say Energy Efficient Alberta on his logo when he came to the door, but he did have EcoFit as in FITT, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so that illustrates the fact right there that this was a legitimate thing that was going on. You signed up for the program, they called you, and it was still very confusing, and you didn't even know who it was, right?
No, he didn't actually. No, he didn't lead with the Energy Efficient Alberta at all.
Right. So if you're not sure, make sure that you don't have them in and say, okay, well, that doesn't really make sense to me, and then call the government and make sure that that is the right person coming into the house, because there's still serious problems with people going door to door and taking advantage of people selling energy packages and outrageously priced furnaces and such. And we own a mechanical company, and we've actually done so many different segments, not just within the company, but on behalf of the government, on behalf of a lot of the news networks.
Yeah, Service Alberta.
Service Alberta.
Yeah.
And it confuses us.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And the gentleman that came did not have a deckled truck in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, it is a little bit, but yeah, you know what? By doing your due diligence, by following up with the agency, there is a call center that you would book to confirm, and that is how it's rolling out.
Right.
You also touched on last week. I was sick and Mallory was in my place, and so.
Mallory, that was fun.
She's great. Yes, she's great. And so I was watching in my sick stupor about about the information you're giving out. There are government rebates, and that is confirmed for not-for-profit and for businesses and institutional that are confirmed rebates that are available for furnaces, but they can be non-residential. They can be for common rooms, as we touched before, but that is a confirmed rebate that is available.
Right.
Yeah.
So will we have really detailed information on all of these rebate programs, because they keep on seemingly putting out rebate program after rebate program, adding on to this, adding on to that, without a whole lot of information on it. As you say, we've got the website for Energy Alberta. Is that right, on the website? And so best to just go onto the website and click onto that link.
Yes.
And then you'll be able to explore all of those different options and all those different programs that there are, because there are lots. Mm-hmm. And as you just alluded to, there are a lot of restrictions also. And the one that's really interesting to me, honestly, is the nonprofits, where a lot of the nonprofits have residential homes where they do a lot of business and take care of a lot of people, but those are not something that you can take advantage of any type of these programs.
No, that's correct.
If that same organization had like a 20-room apartment building, then they could take advantage of some of these services.
No, they cannot. So they cannot. So the criteria for which you cannot qualify for the rebates, they cannot be any form of residence.
Okay.
So they cannot be a residence of any sort.
So if you habitate somewhere.
Correct. Habitation is the criteria. So you can have a common room. You could have a business that was in a mall, or those who qualify. You can have a residential furnace in a, like for example, you could have a home-based business that is just solely a business in this home that nobody lives in it. That would very likely qualify for a rebate, because it is a business. But you cannot habitate.
Yeah, you cannot habitate.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah,
can you cohabitate?
I don't know. I don't think you can.
No, you can't even cohabitate.
No habitation whatsoever.
So again, this is something that's like a really difficult thing to navigate. See, it was difficult for me to navigate it. So call us, and we will make sure that we're sorting all of that out and figuring out what you can take advantage of and what you can't take advantage of, and we'll do our best to help you the entire way along. Yeah,
or Energy Efficiency Alberta. They've been really helpful with conversations. If you call the number, they'll respond. They have an email that they respond really quickly to, and so that is very, very helpful.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fantastic.
Yes. Well, thanks for joining us this week. If you have any questions, please reach out. Send any Dear Keven letters to office@Acclaimed. We love to get those questions, and Kevin will respond to them on our weekly vlog. That's what this is. Yeah. There's always a thing.
That sounds like maybe my middle name, and it's very Eastern European. Mm-hmm. My name is Keven Vlog.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, well, have a great weekend, and I think it's supposed to be super hot on Monday. It's supposed to be 28, but that's a few days away to decide that. But if you have any air conditioning, I'm sure you'll appreciate this weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next week.
See you next week.